Hi, welcome. We're just starting with some grounding breaths, waiting for a couple of folks to come on into the Zoom room. So good to see you. Amazing to see you. So now's a perfect time to accumulate whatever other objects you want to be playing with during our hour. And we're just taking a sec to drop into the body with a hand on the heart and a hand on the belly and just locate some breath, locate some ground. And if you have a pile of colors in front of you, you can take a sec during this meditation to just focus on one color that's looking really juicy and delicious for you right now. And let your eyes just be awash with that yummy color. And you can also be a moment to come into sensation of finger pads on finger pads. It could be sensation if there's a smell in your vicinity, something that will, anything that'll kind of reset smell, touch, taste on your tongue, and then the sight of the colors. So I think we'll dive in with our opening. Thanks all for being here. I'm Arielle, I use she, her pronouns, and I'm coming in live from Berkeley, which is unceded Ohlone land in California. And mutual aid materials and their metaphors sprang to life on Sunday, March 15th, 2020, in response to rapid change that was happening in our world at that moment, and specifically in the Bay Area. It was a couple of days before shelter in place for us here. And I was privileged to be an artist in residence at Open Windows Cooperative, which is a printing press that Ava over here manages in the Bayview neighborhood of San Francisco. And I was scheduled to give a 3-hour lecture performance and workshop, and we quickly retrofitted it to be a Zoom workshop of weaving and unweaving. And at the end of that hour together, which a couple of you got to be a part of that as well, we realized that this somehow that creative and healing practice could be part of mutual aid offerings that were coming through. And we are now opening up this platform for hour-long creative practice for mutual aid and uplift and healing and embodiment during this time. And we'll also be opening it up to other artists and makers and creatives in our networks to offer hour-long somatic, sensory, creative play. So the name of the game for the next hour is just being in touch and sensation of all kinds, touch with your objects, delight in the yummy, sexy deliciousness of whatever potpourri of colors you've spread out before you. And just really, really savoring this little bit of agency to sort and arrange and be in the body that we can locate just right here in front of us with these objects. I'm gonna pass the mic to Ava for a sec to give our next little round of intro. Welcome to everybody who's coming in.
Welcome everyone. It's so nice to be here with you. Seeing some friends' faces I haven't seen in a while and some new faces. So I just want to give us a little outline of the next hour-ish, just so you have some grounding in that. So we're gonna start with some, we're gonna get our hands and eyes on some of our objects and really play with them a little bit, and we'll sort of be sorting and organizing them in different ways. Arielle will be doing a sort of intro to color theory, which I'm really excited about because there's so much I don't know, and it's really fascinating. So we'll be talking about the interactions of color and the relativity of color. And then we will be doing some more making. I will read an excerpt from Asters and Goldenrods by Robin Wall Kimmerer, Braiding Sweetgrass, about colors in nature and complementary colors. And we'll have some time for introducing ourselves about halfway through, and share some of, or we're going to make some tableaus or arrangements of some of our objects, so we can introduce ourselves to each other and maybe share what we're working on, and then yeah, we can like close with some conversation if we feel like talking more, whatever comes up, and we'll do a little closing. I have a poem inspired by Annie Albers. And I think that's it. Arielle, did I miss anything?
Gorgeous. And the intention, or kavanah in my tradition, dedication of this time is, we see this as political practice. We see being back in embodiment as a return and a practice of agency at a moment when it might feel like just there's less control and agency, and a reminder, reconnection to will, reconnection to just sensation, delight, and pleasure in your body, even if it's just for one moment, one fleeting second during this time. Just an acknowledgement that everything that's happening right now is waves and up and down, and whatever mood you're in, however we're finding you in this moment, is gorgeous and okay, and we're really happy to be with you. And we'll also be using this space to aggregate other mutual aid resources. So if you desire connection, or if there's specific support that you're seeking, we'll open up the space at the end to linger in the Zoom room for touching in and talking about sharing resources as well. Step one, what we'll be doing together, is just taking a peek at the spread of colorful delight that you have brought in front of you. And we'll start just by sorting together. So mine are already, I've begun sorting mine already, and we're gonna sort by hue. So I'll sprinkle in a couple words about color. So hue is something's yellowness, or its orangeness, its greenness, its blueness. That's a color's hue, the name of a color. And whatever instinct you have around this, some of y'all have already organized super gorgeously. I'm looking at you, Estatia in the middle, woo! And if that's you, if you've already sorted and organized, you can chill, but you can also just start playing around with organizing within your color. So we want to play around with color temperature for a sec. Color temperature, what is color temperature? So I've got a few reds over here in my pile, and some of my reds are cooler and some of my reds are warmer. And to my eyeballs, like, even if this is the first time you've been playing with warm or cool temperature color, is just starting to look at the relative color temperatures inside of our single hues. So I'm holding up this, I wish you could smell it. It smells like a new box of crayons. It's called Color Aid paper. Do you have a sense of looking at these two colors? Which one's warmer to you? So both of these hues are yellow, but one yellow has a little bit more lemony orangeness in it, and one yellow has a little bit more of like a buttery, almost turning towards greenness in it. And watch what happens when I bring in yet another yellow, which is even closer to being a green yellow. I'll see if I can, whoop, there we go. So all of a sudden we started with this yellow being a little bit cooler than this yellow, but then lo and behold, once I bring in this puppy, this yellow over here, all of a sudden that yellow in the middle is much more of a lemon. The yellow on this side is much more orangey, and this yellow looks super green by comparison. And the game keeps going, because this was what we were calling green 2 seconds ago. But if I bring in another hue, another relative color, all of a sudden I'm holding light yellow next to green. Do y'all see how that's moving? We're just starting to sort between relative warmth and relative cool in our colors. In my practice, color relationality and color temperature has coded very directly to emotional relationality, interpersonal relationality, and there's lots to say about the metaphors of these colors. We'll get there in a little while. But for starters, also just like, if you like looking at what you're touching, let yourself feel that. So these yellows that we were just looking at together, in the Western canon's tradition of color theory, are called analogous colors, kind of like the word analogy in English. Something being analogous is something being similar. So the colors, as you're starting to sort your wheel, the colors that are side by side to one another at any point in the wheel are considered analogous colors. So you'll start to feel, as you're sorting, your warmer side and your cooler side. And we're gonna jump, Ava, maybe it's a cool moment to bring in, should we bring in some Robin? Okay, cool. We're next gonna look at some complementary colors. Ava, take it away. If you can spot any cute tableaus happening, like cute little scenes or moments, or they don't need to be cute, they could be scary, they could be any sort of adjective, where you see something happening, interacting between your colorful objects. We're going to start dreaming out some compositions while Ava serenades us.
Thanks. Okay, so I'm going to be reading from my favorite book in the world, Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. Just some little excerpts from Asters and Goldenrods. People flock to our hills for the fiery sweet of October, but they often miss the sublime prelude of September fields. As if harvest time were not enough. Peaches, grapes, sweet corn, squash. The fields are also embroidered with drifts of golden yellow and pools of deepest purple, a masterpiece. If a fountain could jet bouquets of chrome yellow in dazzling arches of chrysanthemum fireworks, that would be Canada goldenrod. Each 3-foot stem is a geyser of tiny gold daisies, ladylike in miniature, exuberant en masse. Where the soil is damp enough, they stand side by side with their perfect counterpart, New England asters. Not the pale domesticates of the perennial border, the weak sauce of lavender or sky blue, but full-on royal purple that would make a violet shrink. The daisy-like fringe of purple petals surrounds a disc as bright as the sun at high noon, a golden orange pool, just a tantalizing shade darker than the surrounding goldenrod. Alone, each is a botanical superlative. Together, the visual effect is stunning. Purple and gold, the heraldic colors of the king and queen of the meadow, a regal procession in complementary colors. I just wanted to know why. The human eye is superbly equipped to detect these colors and send a signal pulsing to the brain. This doesn't explain why I perceive them as beautiful, but it does explain why that combination gets my undivided attention. I asked my artist buddies about the power of purple and gold, and they sent me right to the color wheel. These two are complementary colors, as different in nature as could be. In composing a palette, putting them together makes each more vivid. Just a touch of one will bring out the other. In an 1890 treatise on color perception, Goethe, who was both a scientist and a poet, wrote that the colors diametrically opposed each other are those which reciprocally evoke each other in the eye. Purple and yellow are a reciprocal pair. The real beholder whose eye these flowers hope to catch is a bee bent on pollination. Bees perceive many flowers differently than humans do, due to their perception of additional spectra, such as ultraviolet radiation. As it turns out, though, goldenrod and asters appear very similarly to bee eyes and human eyes. We both think they're beautiful. Their striking contrast when they grow together makes them the most attractive target in the whole meadow, a beacon for bees. Growing together, both receive more pollinator visits than they would if they were growing alone. It's a testable hypothesis. It's a question of science, a question of art, and a question of beauty. Why are they beautiful together? It is a phenomenon simultaneously material and spiritual, for which we need all wavelengths, for which we need depth perception. The question of goldenrod and asters was, of course, just emblematic of what I really wanted to know. It was an architecture of relationships, of connections that I yearned to understand. I wanted to see the shimmering threads that hold it all together, and I wanted to know why we love the world, why the most ordinary scrap of meadow can rock us back on our heels in awe. That September pairing of purple and gold is lived reciprocity. Its wisdom is that the beauty of one is illuminated by the radiance of the other. Science and art, matter and spirit, indigenous knowledge and Western science, can they be goldenrod and asters for each other? When I am in their presence, their beauty asks me for reciprocity, to be the complementary color, to make something beautiful in response.
Woo! Thank you.